Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and now we get to listen to that delicious dome music theme for the short while that we get to listen to it. Because, yes, we are finally at the final level, but we've already seen everything! Well, when you can pretty much beat all 4 hub worlds, the dome literally explodes and leads to our final level, Razopolis. Risotto. And, yeah, you pretty much can only access it after that. And of course you get to experience the joy that is Razopolis. A dead city filled with liquid res, cyberpunk looking buildings and well, not too many levels, but they are the most difficult levels in the game and holy fizz-widgeting fuck nuggets, will they live up to that. Because right now we got Res Night Fever. And yeah.
This is New Jersey.
Basically, this is pretty much going to be very much testing your wall climbing skills, relying on a lot of stuff like this, the tube gimmick, and of course avoiding a lot of liquid res. Unlike the unlike the water levels of the levels prior, liquid res is pretty much instant kills, so yeah, don't fuck up, otherwise you will die. In terms of enemies that you pretty much have to face this time around, basically you've got Res's Knights, for the lack of a better phrase, which will try and stab you. Obviously you have the televisions, and of course, well, you have spikes, liquid res bubbles themselves popping up from the ocean to say hello, and of course, well, televisions shooting things at you. Instead of rotting your brain, they rots your body, and then they blows up cause they got some crappy CRT stuff in them. I wasn't actually gonna say this until tomorrow, but, yeah, fuck it, I'm just gonna wing it. It's the end and I'm tired. So, very tired. But I mean, I should probably have more stuff to say about this level, considering that it is a really good theme of a level, man. Like, I mean, it might just look like a bunch of TVs and shit, and, well, it is really, but, again, more than any other well, doesn't that just say it all? Just had to get one more before the playthrough was done, but, yeah, more than any other video game level or anything else that has, like, an industrial level to it, this one really does feel unique in and of itself, because, again, it very much does feel like a wasteland of technology where intelligence goes to die, and, really, it has this very morbid, like, 1970s sci-fi kind of appeal to it that, I can't help but love, and I mean in the vein of, you know, THX 1138. I don't know. It just has this very, creepy dystopian vibe that I just can't help but love, man, and again, credit to the art designers, they really knew their stuff when they were designing this level, and, it's creepy as hell, and I love it, man. And it is also one of the final areas of the game that really does make up for a lot of the, a lot of what they initially intended to do. As I mentioned beforehand with the horror level, like how it was going to change up its tropes here and there, which the game does sort of, at least selectively, like you saw with the Kung Fu theme and, at least a little bit with the jungle level, but here it's used to its full effect, and quite honestly, it works rather nicely. But again, therein lies the problem. You know, with Gex not having a save feature, unless of course you're playing the 3DO version, yeah, you are pretty much stuck. So again, unless of course you're using the password feature, as you saw right at the beginning of the, well, commentary video, then yeah, you're pretty much buggered every which way and sideways. And, really, be patient. For the love of God, be patient, otherwise you are gonna be in for hell. Thankfully, you can pretty much attack the liquid res bubbles with, no harm, no foul to Gex himself, but, goddamn, this is gonna either be an exercise in frustration or, a real test of patience for you, because otherwise, this level will not spare you, and, there is quite a bit to go, and there was a lot of editing involved, so, yeah, 26 minutes is about as concise as I can make this. And of course we also have exploding televisions. Whoopee. And I suppose the final bit of trivia, which I'm expunging now, I suppose so, I already used that one bit, but it was actually to do with a secret level. Again, I did mention before that Gex also had a lot of cut worlds and, stuff that didn't make it into the final release, but there is actually one level that did, which was actually a hidden sci-fi level in Gex 1 called Planet X. What that's meant to represent, who knows? Planet 10, Unknown Planet, which I believe is what Pluto was referred to for a while when that was considered a planet, but obviously not anymore. And again, basically it had a set of levels, very rough around the edges, and I don't think they were beta tested either, because, well, their quality isn't very good. But again, these levels are also host to you getting the 100% ending of the game, and obviously if you want to go for that, you're pretty much getting a cynical message by Crystal Dynamics, so, yeah. Planet X was basically a level that's kept secret. You can go through a bunch of different levels, and they are host to a few unique things, like, I mean, obviously different music tracks, enemies and such. And there was also a cop boss fight, which I'm going to be pasting the picture of right here. It's basically like this weird res mech. You can't defeat it or anything because, again, it's, well, a cop boss for a reason, and even if you do defeat it, there's no escape, so you're pretty much fucked. And again, it's a monochrome of what Crystal Dynamics really wanted to do with the game, and again, it really is a shame that they weren't able to complete the game, you know, to the extent that they wanted, really. Like, I mean, I don't know, it's a little bit saddening, but I guess whether due to, you know, crunch time or... And I'm not really too sure who's to blame here, because at least if we were to take Justin Nor's comments into account, like, was it Madeline Canepa basically telling a lot of her stuff that it was crunch time and to get to work? Was it Panasonic desperately wanting a mascot for it? Because when I think back to it, Gex, in terms of its Japanese following, weren't really taken to the concept, really. Like, I mean, maybe things might have been different in the early 90s, but I believe another little bit of trivia is that Gex 3D Enter the Gecko in Japan is actually called Spintail. Like, it's like they completely recontextualized everything. So, like, I mean, Gex isn't Gex, he's instead like this little mobster gecko, and again, I haven't really done a lot of research into it, but what I do know is that, well, yeah, Japan really didn't like Gex and all his filthy fucking American persona, so yeah, I'm not really sure what Panasonic wanted out of the vision, or whether or not they just wanted out, or anything of the sort, but it is fascinating to see where priorities were lying. So again, I don't know if it was Panasonic's doing, if it was Madeline Canepa just being a bit of a beep, or if it was just a fact of the matter that they were desperately trying to get a slice of the mascot platformer pie during a time when, well, 2D games weren't really being looked upon because the advent of 3D was coming, and a lot of people wanted to cash in on that, assuming they had the know-how to do it. But, I don't know. I can't really say for sure. Anyway, this is pretty much this level's gimmick, traveling around using pipes. You can alter your direction within certain junctions, kind of similar to the, what was it called again? The Death Egg Zone of Sonic and Knuckles. But, yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote, really. End of the level, so, bugger it, really. Onwards and upwards. And, yes, to talk about the music for a second, I really love the theme of Resopolis. It's really cool, and, nice and cyberpunky. It really makes you feel like you're descending into danger, but has a bit of that 90s charm that, I can't help but love, man. Who knows where we're gonna be going next in this hellish abomination world? We'll find out soon, Gex. And now we traverse the realm of On the Move, which is pretty much another conveyor belt level. Whoopee.
Spawn, can you read me?
I don't know. I don't think the USS Starship Enterprise is gonna help you. I also really like the level of progression that we have with this level. Like, I mean, it really gives you the idea that you're kind of progressing further into the city and, well, getting one step closer to Rez's domain. And another nice facet of the art design, since the dome blew up earlier, take a look at the very top part of the screen. Yeah, the dome is broken open and, Gex is busting his way in. I don't know, a nice bit of continuity that really does kind of seal in the fact that, you know, you're getting closer, and Rez better watch his ass, otherwise we're gonna come to collect. Well, that's pretty much it. Again, the conveyors are either going one way or the other, as, you know, analyzed by the direction of the things beneath them. Arrows. Why isn't my brain working? I don't know. It's the end of a long workday, my brain has turned to goop, so fuck it. Liquid Rez away. I don't know if those little, like, pod things end up crushing Gex if they land right on top of them. I'm gonna assume yes, but, whew, that's a bit frightening. And again, they're pretty much just obstacles to jump over and keep you on your toes. Obviously, with more pools of liquid res to keep you, well, snazzy. Keeping it sleazy, staying creepy, and being breezy.
Sorry, I only planned weddings.
You will die a lot here, by the way. Like, these levels are rather lengthy, and, well, hazards are everywhere, man. So, Christ, just keep on your toes. That's about all I really have to say. This is where Gex pretty much busts out a lot of the more recognizable, at least to the average audience, quotes. Like, I mean, it makes obvious references to, you know, Star Wars, Star Trek, and, I think Tron and stuff like that, but, yeah, that's really about it. Again, like, this level isn't parodying anything specifically, and again, I suppose the Star Wars and Star Trek quotes would have gone to Planet X, but, you know, obviously things didn't pan out that way. But, yeah. I don't know, I just love this level, and I'm just getting lost in the background, man. It's, very hypnotic. And again, mainly by proxy of the platforms, yeah, things can kinda lead you into hazards or into danger, and, yes. Well, aside from that little Shop of Horrors reference, you really gotta be on your toes. And I will say, like, I mean, I know I probably should save this for the credits when I'm reflecting on my experiences, going back to Gex 1 after all these years is that I didn't have quite as hard of a time as I was expecting to have, since I'm not really one for 2D platformers most of the time, but at the same time, I'm, like, really appreciative of the game design, the fact that it is so... Again, I wouldn't say quite as accessible as you might think, but at the same time, it's also very easy to pick up and play. Like, I mean, I suppose if I could just talk game design for a little bit, Gex 1 will give you your 3 AM wake-up call, for the lack of a better phrase, but at the same time, like, I mean, it's designed well enough so that, again, if you're skilled enough at your 2D platformers and have at least a decent enough knowledge as to how they were designed circa 1994, I don't know, you should really have a lot of fun with this one. Like, I mean, it'll put your skills to the test, but otherwise, like, I mean, I could see someone picking this game up, you know, if they're of more modern taste, and after a bit of practice, at least getting down to clan with how Gex works and how the game functions, and, really getting a kick out of this. Here we go. But now it's time to show off a little something that I haven't shown off up until this point. The bonus game!
It's bonus time!
I can't believe I had to wait until part 5 to do this, but, yeah, basically how the bonus games work is that they're pretty much just, well, bonus rounds in which you can earn extra lives. And they're gonna be different ones depending on what level you get. In level 1, you pretty much have hit the skulls towards Frankie. In Rhizopolis, obviously, you're having hit the barrels. Again, you have to get a high number each time. In a new Toonland, you pretty much have to bounce up this gelatinous substance to get as many coins as you can. I don't quite remember what the bonus levels were for Jungle, Bogey, or Would You Get Down, or the Kung Fu-ville one. My memory's slipping me at the moment. But I also really like the music here. Like, it feels very 90s and very game show, and just has that sort of, like, lo-fi twang that I can't help but love about, you know, a lot of, like, 90s guitar riffs and stuff.
This is the worst health club I have ever been to.
But anyway, I think we've seen all that we need to see of this level, relatively speaking. We still have a fair bit more to go, but I wouldn't worry too much. We're pretty much coming to the end of this long stretch of journey, and now it's time to make Rez pay for what he's done. And again, this is also probably the one area where the TV enemies make sense, but again, as I said before, like, I mean, what sort of corruptions was Rez really doing? Like, I think it might have been the manual of Gex 2 said that he was trying to, like, turn a minutiae of television to bad programming, but of what sort, really? Or more to the point of, like, what sort would... oh. I was gonna make fun. Well, anyway. Like, I mean, what sort of level would, like, what levels of programming would he really ruin? Would he put reality shows? I mean, this was a little bit before that era, obviously, but, I have no idea. I guess maybe he was just gonna put his face all over it. Something that a more story-driven Gex game probably would have, developed. Well, unless maybe the Gex 3 novelization does something with that. I have no idea, but it's interesting nonetheless, but, yeah. Also, another thing I think was either proposed or something that Crystal Dynamics were hoping for, at least during the time anyway, is that they were really hoping to get a Gex TV show, I think. Which it kind of surprises me never happened, because it certainly would have fit in the 90s, but I don't know, I guess maybe nobody really took to the idea, maybe the sales of the games weren't high enough to really justify it. Can't really say for certain, really, but would have been interesting to see what they would have done, if they would have had more of a story focus, or it would have been like an episodic thing where Gex goes to different worlds and does a bunch of, like, parody adventures or whatever. I guess maybe... Actually, I don't really know. Bugger it. We're nearly done with this twaddle and gobbledygook anyway, so then we can finally go off and sleep. Yes, sleep. How delicious. And that was pretty much the final level of the game, and now we are pretty much off to the final boss of the game. The end is in sight. Can you see it? It is there. Off we go. Rez... Is that a hyphen or a trademark? Rez Trademark Slayer? Is it like the Nightmare on Elm Street game where Freddy is trademark coming for you? Or Freddy trademarks coming? Whatever. But anyway, this is pretty much Rez. A very phase-heavy boss fight, but and this little intro cutscene pretty much shows you everything that you need to go. Basically, you need to open that little pod there, get the fly that I believe was the very same one that brought Gex into the media dimension to begin with, and that will allow you to damage Rez. And Rez has a bunch of different attacks, and well, it'll really put you to the test. Again, he'll obviously put these TV bombs to basically give you platforms over to the other side, but well, yeah, Rez isn't exactly idle either, because, I mean, he's pretty much going to be flying around the arena. He will shoot some lasers at you, he will use some laser pylons to try and blow you up, and, well, he'll just give you a whale of a time trying to destroy you. Incidentally, can I just say that, like, for as short as a loop as it is, I really love the music here. I don't know, like, it's really dead, ambient, and, it just kind of fits what Rez was, really, or at least before they sort of gave him more of a parody thing, like by making him Gex's father, ambiguously, I think. I don't know, Rez is fucking creepy, man, and this theme song really reflects that. Obviously, he doesn't have his voice, you know, that you'd see him with in later games, but yeah, pretty creepy. I think he might be voiced by Dana Gould, actually, if his death scream is anything to go by, but can't really be sure of that. But again, yeah, you pretty much... crap. Well, except for when he does that, and, yeah, when he bounces across the arena, he pretty much knocks you off the wall, so, be careful. And he's pretty much doing his little Crash Bandicoot thing all over the place. So be on your guard. But again, with that, you know, fly power-up, I'm not really too sure what to call it. I guess we'll call it the static fly. Yeah, you pretty much only get one shot with it, so, make sure your shots count, because otherwise Rez will kick your buttocks and eat your tail. Also a very unique design for Rez, a little bit more... well, operatic, for the lack of a better phrase. Like he's wearing a cape, tunic, skirt thing? The kilt? I have no idea. But yeah, I mean, if you do know what you're doing though, this boss fight can be a bit of a snoozer until he gets to the Phase 3 fight, where he does begin to launch those little laser pylons, but I don't know. Which again, it does come with a bit of a caveat in the sense that, again, if you want to fight this boss again, then you do kind of have to wait for all these phases to play out until you get to the part that's giving you trouble, but I mean, apart from that, it's a pretty worthy final boss fight. And again, as you can see, as I think I probably mentioned earlier, but yeah, this entire area and Rez himself, yeah, this is pretty much... it's either all happening in the real world or the intermediary boundary dimension between the media dimension and, well, Gex's real world. So, yeah, everything is pretty much pre-rendered 3D, and it actually looks pretty sweet, all things considered. This is the attack that I was talking about before, and, yeah. I'm a little bit butterfingers with the controls during this segment, and, yeah, just don't try and jump up onto the roof or anything, just walk slightly to the left and then to the right, and you should be okay. I only know this because I died a lot to that, and it was a big pain in the ass. Obviously, Rez will do his little laser beam theme, which is a bit difficult to see here, actually, but... yeah, that's not really one to worry about, when the only thing you really need to worry about at this point is the, well, the laser pylons. But again, that might just be me. As opposed to a gamer of more duplicitous skill, then they'd probably find this to be a bit of a snoozer final boss fight. But, I don't know, by proxy of the atmosphere and everything else, I really do like the final boss fight against Rez. Doesn't quite hit the same highs as the one from Enter the Gecko though, but, I don't know, for a first go at it, I really do like this. Which, I suppose doesn't really reflect well on the Rez Raker boss fight from Gex 3, but, I don't know, I kinda got the impression that Crystal Dynamics were getting tired of Gex by that point, since we haven't seen a game from him in years, and, well, since Gex 4 was pretty much, dead, we haven't seen the franchise since. Even though back in 2015, Eidos and... was it Eidos? No, Square Enix, that they said they'd let somebody have a hand in the Gex franchise, they haven't done it yet, and since Crystal Dynamics is working with all that Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy money, or Tomb Raider or whatever, no Gex game, so who knows when we'll ever see the Gecko again, if we will ever see the game again. I guess maybe a modern day remake or something will probably happen, if there's nostalgia for it, but who knows really.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hey, cool. I wonder what's on HBO.
And so, dudes and dudettes, that was Gex for the PlayStation / 3DO / Sega Saturn / PC / I don't think it was released on anything else, so yeah, that's the original Gex, done and dusted, very simple game, even though I had to stumble and bumble my way to victory, but like all the same though, like I mean, I might have been a bit rambly during these, but I really do like the first Gex game. It's not perfect by any stretch, and there are a lot... It is a game that you do kind of have to settle into a bit of a session to, unless you're naturally predisposed to enjoy, like a lot of 2D games of this particular time period, but at the same time though, I think it's accessible enough to newcomers that, with a bit of practice, they can really get down to climb with a lot of the game's mechanics and, you know, the way the levels are meant to be played. And more to the point, it doesn't quite have that sort of, like, NES-style difficulty where it's so bullshit that, you know, nobody will get anything out of it. Like, I mean, and counterintuitively to what I kind of said throughout a couple of other levels in the game, like the jungle level or whatever, again, like, I mean, it does have very specific thematics for what it's trying to do. Like, I mean, again, each level is very distinctive thanks to the TV land aesthetic that the game works with, and again, like, I mean, you have a bunch of very different levels, you fight a bunch of different enemies, and I don't know, it's just simple 2D platforming as you know and love it, with a nice twist, and again, I suppose depending on how brushed up you are on your TV mythology, you either might find Dana Gould's comedy funny, or, well, you might just want to say, "Scree ye! Scree ye!" I wish I could do that Scottish curse thing that he did from his comedy act, but, yeah, fuck it. Go, watch some of Dana Gould's comedy sketches, they're quite funny, if you're of that particular taste. But again, I think I've pretty much said everything that I really need to say about, Gex at this point. I finally covered all the games in a commentary format, and, coming next year, I am actually going to be, re-reviewing the game. I kind of wanted to disown the original review I made of this game back in 2014 because, well, on top of a lot of editing fuck-ups and, well, the fact that the video itself was kind of a bit buggery, yeah, there was really a lot that I could improve upon, and I don't know. It's, out of all the reviews I've ever made, it's the one that I think is most desperately in need of a coat of paint, and, yeah. Well, stay tuned for that, I suppose. To talk about anything else, though, like, I mean, well, first of all, get ready to see the credits start rolling again. There are actually two variants of this. Like, I mean, you do have the general end credits as you're seeing here, and then there is also, again, if you get the game 100%, yeah, there is also, like, a secondary theme song, which is, like, kind of like a cartoony, bouncy kind of thing, where the developers mock you for getting 100%, so, well, fuck you, Crystal Dynamics, but it's kind of understandable as to why you'd feel that way. I really don't know what to say, but, yeah. And again, this theme does have lyrics, which you'll hear a little bit of by the time I do my sign-off and everything. But in any case, this game is just 90s as fuck, and if you happen to like games that are 90s as fuck, then you are really going to enjoy this. Again, I don't really know where you could really get this game anymore. I guess maybe ordering a PS1 copy of the game online, or if the PS3 servers are still up, maybe you could download the game from there, but again, that all depends on whether or not you have a console like that, so I really don't know what to say, but I don't know, download it while it's still there, before they shut down the servers again for some arbitrary reason. He'll use his tail, he'll grow another. I completely fucked up the lyrics to Kiss His Mother. I really have to wonder who composed the same song, who did the vocals, and, well, why they wanted to kiss his mother. Xtra. I don't know, pretty fun and funky theme song anyway, but as for commentaries for the future, coming in 2022, we are going to be kicking off Commentary Land with Burning Rangers for the Sega Saturn, so, yeah, stay tuned for that. And, well, I mean, hopefully you'll enjoy a little something coming this Christmas, but, in the meantime, I suppose I'm Solidus-Skully, keep it new metal, and, well, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, stay safe, I don't know, have fun with your family, and, well, I don't know, just be cool to one another, dudes. In 90s typical fashion, be excellent to each other.
Look like a Gex to me.